what is boundless? What is boundless? It's our own mind is boundless. It's not limited. And what limits it? It's all of our judgments, opinions, projections. All the things that we think need to be a certain way. And when we're boundless, there's no fear of not having enough. So of course they're talking about the bodhisattva here, the perfections of the bodhisattva. And the perfections of the bodhisattvas are different attributes, and one of them is dana, giving. And so giving can also be interpreted as letting go or relinquishing. And so what are we letting go? We're letting go of our attachment to the ideas of self and other, our ideas of dualism, relinquishing the dualism of opposites. And if we look at the source of suffering in the world, that's the source of it, right there. Creating that gap, that separation. And when Dogen says that even though we've had the good fortune to encounter Buddhism, to follow a false step concerning this point will result in completely missing the way. Well, the false step is what? Following the path of duality. And the path of duality is what creates that gap between what's good and what's bad, what's sacred and what's evil. And we see it at play in the whole country, in the whole world. Where people create these schisms. And these schisms are in their minds. And that's what Dogen's talking about here, having compassion. Generate this attitude towards serving. The attitude, it's that aspiration, that determination to follow it. But what gives us the determination to follow this bodhisattva principle of service and compassion and helping to end suffering? Not just of my clan, but of all clans. And we call it faith. But what kind of faith is it? Faith is an important ingredient of our practice now. Some of us have come from religions where faith means to accept whatever's taught without question. Whatever the teachings are of whatever organization you belong to, religious organization, that this is the dogma of the church and you have to accept it. Or this is the dogma of the temple and you have to accept it. But here, faith means to try it, to really see if it's true for you. You all know that I'm a scientist, or most of you know that I'm a scientist. I studied physics in university and was a research scientist and a professor in physics for a few years. And when I came to Zen, I approached it like a scientist. I read all this stuff and I said, well, let me try. Let me try it. See if it works. That was my faith. Okay, show me. Well, I had to show myself, So I went to my first session. I think it was only a weekend session or something like that. My body was rebelling, my mind was rebelling, my spirit was rebelling. And then, at one point, suddenly everything got quiet. I don't know how long it lasted. It could have lasted 5 seconds. Everything was quiet. And when I left, I said, "What was that?" It's kind of, there wasn't all of this agitation in my mind and my body. It was just suddenly got quiet. And I said, "Well, I'm going to try that again." Even though I hated it. It was so hard. And I went back again. And then my mind was quiet for 10 seconds. And the next time, 20 seconds. So, and then there were times when just all of the pain in my legs and in my back would just disappear. My mind was quiet and clear. And I said, maybe there's something to this. And that's how faith grows in our practice. There's this koan about Master Toksan with his teacher Ryutan. Toksan was a scholar, and he was a scholar of the Diamond Sutra. And he came from the north, I think, of China to the south because he heard that they were talking about sudden enlightenment, and his understanding of the Diamond Sutra said there's no such thing, so he was going to go tell him. And then he met this famous tea lady by the side of the road who set him straight. And then he saw a master. And then when he studied with Ryutan, and he had an awakening experience, and he bowed. And Ryutan asked him, "Why are you bowing?" And he said, "Never again will I doubt the teachings of the Venerable Zen Masters." So he had such a profound experience that he saw everything that he'd been rebelling against was true for him. So then his faith, just grew. His faith. I'd like to say something I heard from Yamada Roshi. People would say to him, "I don't have faith. I just don't have faith. I don't know. I'm very skeptical. I'm a skeptic. I don't know, but something brought me here. And you're all here. Something brought you, all of you here." And so Yamada Roshi would say, "It's okay. You only need 5% faith. 5%. Maybe that's a relief for some of you to hear it. But when I heard it as a scientist, that 5%. 5% of what? What does it mean, 5%, 1%? In other words, all you need to have is just they say in Japanese, a skosh. The skosh of faith. And that'll be enough to carry you forward. So, that's the attitude. That's the aspiration to follow this attitude. Right there, having that is the functioning of the way. So when we serve, we don't serve from a mind of poverty, that there's not enough. All of us who have brothers or sisters, when we grow up, there was always a competition for the love of the parents. Like the parents don't have enough love for all their kids. There'd be conversations like, "You were the favorite, you were the favorite." No, you were the favorite. No. There's no limit to this heart. It's boundless. It can hold everybody, everything.